Welcome to the deep dive. Let's get straight into it today. The Lakers are out of the playoffs.
Yep, happened yesterday, Wednesday, May 1st. And, well, the dust hasn't even settled and we're already hearing things.
Exactly. Specifically, some pretty interesting comments from LeBron James about the front office.
We've got this piece from Cy Mohan over at Yardbarker, also from yesterday, titled LeBron James Takes a Swipe at Lakers Front Office.
Right. So our mission here is to really unpack what LeBron said and maybe more importantly, the context.
Absolutely, because it's not just about the quote itself. It ties back to Anthony Davis, doesn't it? And what happened with him earlier this year.
It really does. We need to look at Davis wanting a center, then getting traded, Ginny Buss's comments. It's all connected.
And how it potentially relates to, the Lakers playing small ball, maybe too much small ball, and LeBron's reaction to that.
Okay, so let's rewind back to, what was it, late January 2025?
Yeah, late January, Anthony Davis, he pretty publicly said he wanted the Lakers to bring in a center.
He was very clear, wasn't he? Said he preferred playing the power forward spot.
Yep. It wasn't just a throwaway line. It felt like a real statement about how he saw the team needing to be built for him to be effective, or at least comfortable.
And then bang, like less than 10 days later.
He's traded for Luka Doncic.
Which, okay, the rationale mentioned in the article makes sense on one level. Getting a guy like Doncic, who's what, 6 years younger?
A foundational piece, a generational talent. You can understand why a front office jumps at that long-term thinking.
But then you add in what Jeannie Buss said afterwards.
Right. She came out and basically said Davis was, and I'm quoting loosely here, complaining about where he was being played and he wasn't happy.
And the implication, as the article notes, was that this unhappiness, this complaining, was part of why they made the trade.
So it muddies the waters a bit, Was it just about getting Luka, or was it also about moving on from a player perceived as unhappy with his role?
It definitely raises questions about how player feedback is interpreted or maybe even used by the front office.
Yeah, like, did he just express a preference and they spun it as complaining to justify a move they wanted to make anyway? Or was he genuinely disruptive? We don't know for sure, but Buss's comments lean one way.
Okay, so fast forward to yesterday. Post-playoff elimination. LeBron's exit interview.
And he asked directly, didn't he, about whether the Lakers maybe leaned too much into that centerless style, the small ball approach, which, sometimes put LeBron himself out of position.
Yes, and his first reaction, a laugh, apparently.
Followed by, no comment. But then he immediately adds,
my guy AD said what he needed, and then he was gone the following week.
Exactly. Yuvan Buha tweeted that quote. It's pretty pointed.
He did add something else, too, didn't he? About just putting the uniform on.
Oh, right, yeah. He followed up with something like, so I got no comment. I put that uniform on every night, gave everything I had, and that's all that matters. But that first part, the Davis reference.
That's the kicker, isn't it? The no comment followed by that specific comment. It's almost louder than saying something direct.
It really is. He's basically saying, look what happened last time someone brought up this issue, without actually, criticizing management directly.
It feels like a signal. Like he sees the same problems AD saw regarding size, but he's maybe being more cautious about how he voices it.
That's how it reads. Highlighting a pattern, maybe. Player mentions needing size, player gets shipped out. Whether that's the intent or not, that's the sequence he pointed out.
Now, to be fair, the article does mention the Lakers tried to address the center spot.
Yes, the Mark Williams situation. They reportedly had a trade lined up for him, a shot blocker.
But the deal got rescinded. Fell through.
Which is important context. It shows the front office wasn't completely blind to the need. They were looking.
But they didn't get it done. And that failure, combined with trading Davis earlier, well, it reinforces the idea that they haven't solved the size problem.
And that brings us right back to LeBron's comment. The Yardbarker piece really connects his AD reference to his own awareness of that lack of size.
Especially after just getting bounced by Minnesota, a team with, let's face it, a lot more size and athleticism, particularly inside.
You could see it on the court. They looked overwhelmed physically at times, both inside and even containing quicker guys on the perimeter.
So where does this leave LeBron? He's got that big player option for next season.
$52.6 million. Huge number.
But the article mentions these reports, whispers maybe, that he might actually opt out.
Potentially to sign a more team-friendly deal.
That seems to be the idea. Why would he do that? Well, presumably to give the Lakers more financial wiggle room.
Room to make upgrades, to bring in the kind of players, maybe the size that they clearly need.
It suggests he still wants to win, right? And maybe he thinks that this is the way to make it happen. Puts the ball back in the front office's court, so to speak.
It does. It's like saying, okay, I might help you financially, but you guys need to deliver on the roster construction, addressing the very issues Davis mentioned and that LeBron seems to be hinting at.
Because watching that Timberwolves series, as the article points out, the need for size was just glaring.
Undeniable. They need more bodies, more physicality.
And despite all this, the contract situation, the comments, the general feeling is that he'll be back, right?
Yeah, the article notes he hasn't committed, but everyone kind of expects him to play at least the 2025-26 season.
Okay, so let's sum this up. We had Davis asking for a center.
Then Davis gets traded.
Now LeBron, facing similar team issues with size, subtly brings up Davis's situation after they get knocked out of the playoffs.
It definitely feels like he's sending a message, pointing out a persistent problem without going full confrontation mode, maybe learning from what happened with AD.
The tension is definitely there between what the star player sees as necessary and what the front office has done, or maybe hasn't done.
So it leaves us and you listening with a pretty big question. If LeBron does exercise that option, or even if he opts out for a friendlier deal,
What can the Lakers realistically do this offseason? What moves can they actually make to fix this size issue and, keep LeBron happy and feeling like his input matters, especially after he just drew that parallel to Davis?
and maybe think bigger picture too. What does this whole situation, AD's trade, LeBron's comments tell us about like player power versus the front office in the NBA today? How those dynamic actually play out?
Definitely something to chew on as the offseason gets underway.